Just look on the bright side of life.
Enough of the fun. Let's get down to business. Real quick, just to let you guys know a little bit about ourselves. We're obviously a little untraditional, non-conventional, insert your word there, but Kevin and I have made it a practice over the last couple of years to really get in and master short sales. We got together and formed a business in February of 2008, and since that time we've closed 240 short sale transactions. We have a large team that works on these short sales with us, and I guess what I appreciate most about the opportunity to speak here today is a lot of you have heard courses, not necessarily here at Keller Williams, but in your market from title companies and brokers and attorneys and people like that. And I'm not looking to start the class off by just ripping on people, but a lot of the people that teach those courses aren't in the trenches on a daily basis. And so a lot of their content misses the spot on what's really happening and what's really going on in the short sale world. So for those of you in the room that are doing a high level of short sales, you're probably going to agree with just about everything we have to say today. For those of you that have never touched a short sale,
they're going to agree with everything I say and like half of what you say.
Okay, that's fine too. So
let's just face it, I'm the likable one.
You are.
Now that I like
each other. So anyway, let's get down to business. Let's have some fun here today. Are you guys ready to have a little bit of fun and learn a lot? Cool. Before we jump in and basically get into the real content here today, Kevin's going to talk about a theory that we like to call the Outback. Okay? I'm going to suggest that it's not really a theory. I'm going to suggest that it's a way of life. I'm also going to suggest that the Outback is the way to complete short sale transactions. Kevin's going to go into that a little bit here in a moment, so I'm going to let him draw. He actually has a nice, what does Gary call that, the Elmo?
Yeah, what is this thing? Yeah, it actually says Elmo right here. I thought Gary made that up.
Congratulations.
I thought that was like a Texas thing.
Take it away, Kevin.
Okay, so yesterday I had to do this with my notes, and that's kind of hard to see, right? Go back there, maybe not. Okay, so we're going to do this for you guys. If you're taking notes, draw along, and if you're not taking notes, take notes. So I'm going to draw two lines here. And they're actually spectrums. We're going to number these spectrums 0 to 100. And this top spectrum is the spectrum of real estate. And that is as good as my handwriting gets. And the bottom spectrum is the spectrum of people. We're going to cut the spectrum apart, guys, at 4 and 96.
Oh, you just made some of yesterday's attendees go live.
I did that for them. And we're going to cut the people spectrum up at 95 and 5.
So you're saying that a spectrum is like everything in real estate, and the people spectrum is like, as you said yesterday,
everyone human, everything human.
Everything human. Okay, thank you.
So what is there in the world? About 6-7 billion people now? We call it 7 just for the sake of argument. So I'm just cutting the people apart, 95% and 5%. And I'm going to do the same thing in real estate, okay? My line here of 4% real estate, and everything to that side of it is what I'm going to call traditional or conventional real estate. It's everything that makes Jim Dunning totally comfortable. Jim's the guy that just introduced us. He's our broker. It's what makes your broker comfortable, and it's what we've all built our businesses on for years and years and years. It's a $1 trillion industry, guys. It looks like 30-year fixed rate mortgages. It looks like buyer and seller. It looks like MLS. It looks like 6% commissions. It doesn't look like short sales.
Looks like home warranties.
Home warranties.
Yeah. Seller property disclosure statements. Those are kind of nice to have, huh? Not in the Outback, but.
That looks like conventional. That's conventional real estate. You guys with me on what that is? Okay. I'm going to draw another box over here, this 96% of real estate, what Fred and I call the Outback of real estate.
Kevin, it's not a box.
Yes, it is. So that's my box of 96% real estate, which I'm going to call unconventional real estate. Some of you guys might know it as lease options. It might look like a rent-to-own. It can look like a seller carryback, a wrap, any sort of subject to financing. It used to look like REOs. And short sales. Okay, so the reason I call it the Outback is anybody in the room been to Australia? area, first of all? Let me ask that. Outback? What'd you see there? A lot of desert? What'd you see there, Jim? Was there any, do you have any competition for anything you wanted there?
There's like a lot of nothing out there. There's no rules.
All the space you want, no rules, okay? So that's why I call it the Outback. What I'm going to say the Outback is it's a place where there's no competition. It's a place where you can come together with somebody else, agree on something that works for both parties. It's a place of solutions, and it's a place where you can get things done. You guys with me so far on what I'm considering the Outback? I'm just suggesting that like 95% of us buy, sell, list, real estate in the 4% box. And there's nothing wrong with that. I said it a few seconds ago, it's a $1 trillion industry and it's an amazing industry and I love it. But it's also a ton of competition, right guys? Gary says it himself, there's tons of competition for being mediocre. There's tons of it. 95% of us are playing at 4%. And then you've got 5% of us. Anybody ever hear of Carlton Sheets? Yeah. Or Dolph DeRoos? Or Steve Chater? Or Mark Collier? Or anybody like that? Those are all guys that like to play in what I call the Outback of real estate, a place of solutions where they can get things done, where a buyer and a seller can come into agreement on something and get something done. It's actually in the red book, and Fred's going to read that to you in a second. So that looks like REOs and short sales used to be over there, but they've really started shifting into this box right here. And this box, let's face it, it's not really built for it. Now REOs have kind of, we're used to that now. It's moved over there, and short sales have been moving over there. But the short sales used to this, you know, this box right here that I drew, that's not really a box, it's like more like a blob. And short sales are trying to be crammed into this little 4% conventional box. So when we run into a problem and we don't know what to do, it's because the short sale is not built for that box, you guys. The short sale is built from a place of solutions. And as agents who have done things consistently the same way for the last 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10, 20, however long you've been practicing real estate, and we hung up on by a loss mitigator, or we have to deal with a seller who's crying because they're losing their house, or any of those situations that happen in a short sale, we don't know what to do when we get hung up. It's because they're from the Outback. They're not traditional, they're just being forced into that box. So this box is having to grow bigger, and it's our job to find the solution. So a lot of what Fred and I say is, well, that's Outback. If any of you guys are friends with us on Facebook, or on our fan page, we're talking about Outback. If you're watching our video blog, we talk about Outback all the time because it's a place of solutions coming from a place of how do I get this done? It's not about, and coming from a place of why am I even doing this? Why do I want to do this? Because the minute you start looking for how-tos and you get stuck, you want to quit. And at the end of the day, if you're taking on a short sale, you've got somebody's financial future in your hands, and it is that serious. You can't afford to do that, guys. Your why is like 10 times bigger than your desire to just give up because you're mad. It's got to be bigger. So that's the Outback. You want to?
I'm actually just sitting here looking at how beautiful that looks, Kevin.
We're gonna, like we did yesterday, we're gonna auction this off for KW Cares. The meeting starts at $500.
Yeah, beautiful. Are you guys catching the context of this? Short sales and bank-owned properties are not traditional real estate. And what's happened in our markets over the past few years, for some of us it hit 4 and 5 years ago, some of you it's hitting right now, some of you are just starting to see that shift, but what's happening is that these non-traditional sales are coming in and they're dominating a lot of markets around the country. And if they're not dominating, they're at least making an impact in your market. And the things that we've been taught and trained in our real estate school and real estate training that we've gone to didn't really teach us how to take on the short sale. And so when we call the bank, they don't necessarily follow the rules that they have set up. If you want to, go ahead and try to disobey your local MLS rules or your local board rules, there's consequences for those actions. We all know that. But the bank has rules that they don't necessarily always follow and aren't enforced. And if you're in the trenches doing this on a daily basis, you understand that. They say a lot of things, but they don't always deliver those promises and results. Okay?
Always look on the bright